Hello, this is the All Ireland podcast, and with me I have Siobhan Shiels of Great White Lies. So thanks very much for joining me, Siobhan.
You're very welcome, Dylan. Cheers for having me on.
I suppose just to get the ball rolling, can you tell me the story behind Great White Lies? How did the band get started? And for the uninitiated, how would you kind of describe your music?
Oh, that's always a hard one. How I got started, I suppose I studied music and went to university and got my master's in jazz performance, and through that I was involved in lots of different music projects, some of them jazz based, some of them not, and I started a choir and gospel choir, and that was a big part of my life for 7 years. Like, we played Glastonbury, we played in France, internationally and stuff, and it was great. But yeah, the amount of God that was in it was starting to put me off because I loved the music, but I'm not a big fan of religion. So so I had to step back from that. And then I was kind of at a loss creatively, and I just started writing again. Like, I hadn't written since I was a teenager. War out of that, I suppose. And it was formed from friends of mine from university, and friends that live nearby and live by me as well. So yeah.
You're from Donegal, is that correct?
Yeah, Inishowen in County Donegal, right up the top.
And where did you meet at university? Which university did you go to?
I was in McGee. Whenever I met the pianist in my band, Neil, he's also got his own band, Comrade Hat. He was doing his, and he's amazing. He's such a talent. I'm very, very lucky to have him as a friend and as a musician in my band. And he actually produced the album as well. And yeah, Ruth, she actually lives quite close by. She was in the gospel choir. We've been friends for a long time. And Sally, who also lives nearby, she was at the band at the start. And then yeah, the drum and the bass player, they were just friends, local friends. So yeah.
Very nice. So in terms of the music itself, how would you kind of describe it to someone who's never heard it before?
I suppose it's a fusion of lots of different influences. There's definitely jazz in there, there's soul, there's pop, there's a bit of trip hop, there's it's kind of a fusion of everything that's influenced me, packed into my writing. Like, people have like Regina Spektor, and then on the other hand, then we're described the same as Portishead. And live, I think, is a very different experience from the album as well. So because we do so much improvisation, and you never know where it's going to go. So yeah, I'm finding it kind of hard to find a band or an act to compare ourselves with. So Dylan, if you have any ideas, or
well,
anybody...
I suppose I would ask, like, people make those comparisons. Do you think those are accurate, or would you kind of disagree when people say things like that?
I think there's an element of Regina Spektor in there, probably. There's an element of Portishead, I suppose, just with the dark, trippy bits that we do. But yeah, I find it hard to find somebody to just say, yeah, if you like them, you'll like us. and that's really hard, and it's a really hard thing to say to people. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to keep going, doing my own thing.
Yeah,
we're Great White Lies. I'm doing my thing. And
is there anything that you really look to in terms of inspiration, or do you really just focus on doing your own thing?
Yeah, no, I really do focus on doing my own thing. I do take inspiration from other music, other ideas, either what musicians are exploring musically or thematically. One person, like, I would love to write a Prince song. I would love to write a song you can dance to, a funky ass song. I haven't done that yet. Well, I have, but not a Prince one. But yeah, so I suppose I'm looking towards I know my writing at the minute, I'm looking towards trying to create moods, trying to create a
Yeah.
tone. Not really thinking about where the music direction is going to go or where the influences are taking me. I'm just trying to create that emotional space on, like, yeah. So that's what I'm doing at the minute. At the minute, anyway.
And do you think that kind of mood or that aesthetic, for lack of a better word, is based on personal experiences? Like, is it based on anything in particular, or is it just purely the desire to create that kind of mood?
Oh, definitely. Like, I have. I'm very, very lucky that music can be really cathartic for me.
Yeah.
Whenever you come across situations or people or conflicts that are just something in yourself that you can't seem to resolve. With myself, if I get really torn up about something, I'll just go to the piano and or grab an instrument or just go and write something, and don't try and not second guess myself, not critique it, just let it come, whatever it is. And that's been really good. And there's a few times where I've done that and it was just a catharsis and I never thought it would go anywhere. And now, like, I'm Not the Bitch is one of those pieces that's on the album, and that was never meant to be on the album. That was never meant to be released. It was just a catharsis. So yeah, I definitely use it as a catharsis. I also use it as a way to kind of navigate my feelings and figure out, because sometimes whenever something happens that's maybe that's just too much for you to comprehend, I think going through music and getting through that murkiness and that muddiness and maybe something so intense kind of washes that away, so I can see things clearer and I've kind of got that bit off my chest. So it might turn into an album and it might just be for my own self-development.
Yeah, so
yeah.
it's a bit kind of dynamic. It's a bit spontaneous, maybe. Would that be a way of describing it, the process?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like there's a mythology, but that's not right. Methodology. I collect all my ideas, I collect all my stories, I collect all my lyrics, any musical ideas, and I gather them in places where I know where they are and what kind of tone they are and what kind of energy they have, or tempo, stuff like that. But then I also have just run off. I just go to the piano and see what comes out. So there is a mixture between trying to sit down every few days at the minute, just write something, and just to keep myself going. So there's like there's like the spontaneity would happen, or maybe like an issue would come up that I feel like I really need to address. I suppose like the abortion rights referendum.
Okay.
Just because the anniversary was a couple of days ago. So like one of our songs, Red, I wrote based on my experience of that. So and that helped me process everything because I was working as a canvasser. Yeah, it helped me process stuff, and it helped resonate. I really liked the idea that you can connect with others, so other people understood where I was coming from. Yeah.
Yeah, so I really like that whole idea of it really being kind of, forgive me to say maybe on the fly, might like maybe that's not really the right way of saying it, but
No,
you definitely wait for something to be very passionate about to write a song about. So I suppose kind of the question I want to ask around that is, you brought out your first EP in 2015, for example. When it comes to bringing out something like an EP or an album, do you think it's kind of a different process to bringing out just a single by itself? Is it a harder thing to do, or is it a different kind of process?
well, I suppose I can only talk about what I've done, and I started with the EP because I wanted to give people an idea of what we were. Nobody's heard of me, nobody's heard of what I do, so EP kind of gave the platform so people could know what I was about. And then gigs, got me to meet further musicians and expand my musical career. And then I was working towards the album. I knew I wanted to do an album because I was seeing everybody releasing, you know, an EP here and an EP there. And I know just the way that the music industry is changing, that albums might not be the most sellable thing.
Yeah.
But I really like the idea of having everything, just having a whole oeuvre, I suppose, that marks that time in your musical life and marks where you've grown as a person and what you've achieved and who you've encountered. And I really like it as a stamp mark. So so it was like late last year when the album came out. So that's end of 2019. That's a start. So that's letting everybody know what's going on up until now. And I really like the journey of an album. I think that's me personally. I don't know if, I know there is lots of other people who love and listen from an album from start to finish and just see where they take you on this journey, where the musicians take you. And I kind of wanted to do that through the album process. I did release singles prior to the album, you know, as in I released to build up to it. And the year before I'd released other singles as well, just to kind of keep your toes wet, if you know what I mean, let people know that you're still around. But yeah, as an artistic process, I would love to do another album. I think it would probably be but yeah, and probably keep releasing singles as you go along, just to let people know that you still exist and keep trying to keep connection with your audience.
So you would kind of view an album as like kind of a snapshot in time, if that makes sense. Like that's how the artist was feeling, or this is what they were doing at this particular time. Is that a good way of putting it?
Yeah, I suppose emotionally and musically, and what they're exploring, because through Chrysalis I learned a lot, and I know that there's elements of that I want to expand on, and there's elements of that album that I'll probably never do again. So yeah, I really like it as like it's a snapshot in time of where the artist is at, what they're trying to say, and how they're trying to say it. And then 3 or 4 years time, everything going well, there'll be another Great White Lies album where I'll have something different to say in a different way. And
do you think that there's anything in particular that's really changed in terms of your musical style, compared, say, take now, compared to when the band first got started?
I think I've become more confident in myself.
Okay.
I suppose because I was primarily a vocalist in university, and vocals is where my strength. So I would write and I'd play a bit in the piano, but I'm nowhere near as good as Neil in my band. So I would always kind of bow to, because I was working with great jazz players as well. So these are experienced players. They know lots of things, and I could learn lots from them. So I kind of sat back a bit and let myself be guided, and tried to take in as much as I could from all these players and people that I was surrounded by. And I think now I'm just more confident in myself. I know, and just explore it no matter what. Who cares where it's going to go? Who cares if it's only an oboe for 4 minutes? Just do it. Just explore it and see what happens. I've got more confidence in myself to play and create, I think, more than I did at the start, for sure. I was very reliant on others just to keep telling me where I'm going and keeping me between the lines, whereas I don't really care about the lines anymore.
Do you think that there was any particular challenges kind of getting there, or getting to the place that you are now in terms of a band? Like, is there any kind of moments that kind of stand out as being a big challenge in terms of recording or releasing the EP or the album?
Keeping a band going is tough. It's tough because they need to be in it for the love of it, because it doesn't pay. and that's fine for me because I'm writing it and it's my stuff, and I'm involving 4 other players. There's a sense of responsibility that I find that hard to handle. That I'm so lucky that these people want to share their talent and their time with me, but it's hard to know that we're going to just keep doing this and they're never going to see a return for the amount of time and effort that they've put in. Do you know what I mean? That's difficult. That's difficult to balance. And I suppose, you know, during lockdown and everything, I'm trying to come up with ways to be more self-sufficient. So I don't need 5 people or 4 people in order to do a gig. I can try and do as much of it on my own, so I'm not asking so much of them. And then whenever we've got a really good gig, like I found out yesterday we're going to be playing Phoenix Park next month. How annoying is that? So that would have been a great gig for them to play at. Yeah, so I suppose that'd change. And then the releasing part, I'm not sure if that's going to get any easier, but I know releasing the last single before the album came out was called Fear, and it was written in reaction to Brexit, and that was difficult. It's this whole thing about putting yourself out and contacting people, contacting radio stations, PR people, media people, and saying, here's my music, here I am, this is amazing, look at me, look at me, look at me. Receiving nothing back, and then doing it again and doing it again, and I find that a great toll. I find that quite difficult, but I think I learned from it because then releasing the album, I kind of got over that a bit. It was like, you know, understood everybody's got their own lives and you just have to keep lighting your own torch, and enough people are going to see it. So yeah, just keep plowing on. I don't know how I'm going to feel about like this next single's coming out. That's why I want to be 100% before I start working on it, because I know I need to be mental and physical space to be able to handle the tumbleweed, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, you sent me the single Soft Sea. Is that the single that you're talking about?
Yes. Yeah.
So I suppose, what's kind of the story behind the song, and what can people expect from it when it does come out?
What did you think the story was?
Well, look, I don't really know what to make of it. Like, I enjoyed it, but I really want to give the floor to you to really kind of sell it, I guess.
Yeah. See, I really like the idea that my music can mean one thing coming out of me, and then it can mean something else whenever the listener takes it in. And like even some of my songs I've noticed over the years have the resonance has changed with me. It was something else, but now I've grown, and I've grown around the song, but it's changed for something else, which I really like. So I don't Soft Sea is basically, there's a local beach just 10 minutes down the road, and I would that's my daily, well, it was my daily thing for a long time. Once or twice a day I have to go down to the beach, get for a walk, get down with my dog, and just switch off, be with nature. And it's my, I suppose it just keeps me balanced. And you're not balanced, and the sea can be turbulent and a scary place, and then I like the idea that it's nature, and it can be soothing and calming, and then turbulent and scary and take everything from you at once. So it's something along that lines.
And I think that's something that I heard in a few of your songs. Like, I kind of get the sense that like nature is a big theme. Would that be correct?
Sorry, you cut out there. Can you say that again?
No, sorry. I kind of got the feeling from a few of your songs that like nature is kind of a big theme. Is that correct?
Yeah. Nature keeps me keeps me grounded. It keeps me connected. Yeah, it's definitely a huge theme in my music. Yeah.
So in terms of Soft Sea, is there a particular plan for it right now, or is it too early to say?
Well, as soon as at the minute I've got some health issues going on, so I haven't been able to do much on the computer. But once this starts to settle, hopefully, it's just vertigo. It's nothing that's going to kill me. It just means you can't be on the computer for too long or can't move about for too long.
Okay.
And so like releasing a single means you need to be on your emails, you need to be contacting people all the time, and I want to be able to do that properly. So once this vertigo decides to leave, then I'll be on it. It'll be 6 or 7 weeks after that the release will be out, and I have a fantastic video. Did I send you the video?
I don't think so.
Right, well, keep a lookout for it because the video is amazing. It's made by a visual artist, film artist in the north, and Mark McCauley, and what he does is amazing. It's like spinning teacups and houses in space. It's weird, but it's beautiful. Yeah.
And I suppose kind of then medium to long term, I know you kind of talked about how the challenges that lockdown has brought, but keeping that in mind, in kind of a medium to long term kind of basis, what are your plans for the band?
I suppose I'm going to be using lockdown once I can to become more self-sufficient.
Yeah.
And be able to perform my stuff without the need for 5 others every time. Even though there's such an amazing boost. But anyway, and then just keep writing. I'm going to try and do some lives. I'm hooking up with other bands and seeing if we can do like a joint Zoom invite gigs kind of thing. And I'm lucky that Ruth lives nearby, so she can come down and we can perform in the backyard. It's a shame because this was our year to be touring around Ireland, and I had gigs booked all over the country. Phoenix Park next month, which would have been amazing. So try and keep some sort of momentum and try and keep people aware that we're still here and we're still creating. I need to try and earn some money as well, because I would work as a music facilitator. So then I'd be working with adults with intellectual and physical disabilities, and that's not possible in these times. I can't be going in and out to different hospitals. So I need to find a way to promote the band while also making some money. Plan.
What else have you been doing with your free time in lockdown? Is there any hobbies you've taken up or anything you've decided to practice or do with the time that we have at the minute?
Oh, right. Well, finally I've been able to read. So I have been deep diving into tons of books over the last just 2 weeks, actually. I've been able to read again, which is great. But prior to vertigo, I was learning Arabic again. I was making sourdough, same as everybody else. Getting out for walks. For watching way too much RuPaul's Drag Race. And just trying to catch up with friends and family. I don't know about you, but this lockdown has brought me so much closer to my family. We're chatting every day, maybe every other day, and because I can't go anywhere at the minute, Mum's coming down for visits, so we're sitting out the back in the sun. So it's been limiting. It's been also really enriching, just to reconnect with your family again and focus on these things that you may have left behind. Like, and I have an app that recognizes bird songs, so I'm learning different bird songs, and so trying to be as positive as I can through it all and try and get some
same as all of us, I think. I suppose kind of like coming out of lockdown, fingers crossed, sooner rather than later. Do you think it'll be easy for bands, at least speaking for yourself, do you think it'll be easy for bands to kind of get back on the horse, as it was, kind of get out and start gigging again and start recording again? Or do you think it's going to be more, I think it's going to be kind of a gradual thing?
I really don't know. I think recording will probably be easier to get back to than
Yeah.
gigging. I can see studios being open, I imagine, and people could get back in and start recording. But I don't know about gigs. Like I've gigs booked. I have like 400 seaters booked in November, and I can't see that happening. I can't see people being crammed into one room sitting for 2 hours. I can't see people being comfortable with it, and I can't see it being illegal. So I don't know what we're going to do for live music. Outdoor performances. Maybe Ireland should start investing in huge outdoor spaces so we can all have somewhere to play. Yeah, I don't know. I'm at a loss there. So yeah, I don't know.
I understand, like, it can definitely be a bit uncertain when it comes to, at least as far as gigs are concerned. But looking beyond Soft Sea, is there any particular plans for singles after that, or are you kind of playing it by ear and planning as you go along?
Oh well, yeah, like I'm planning to go along, but definitely, yeah, after Soft Sea, I'll be releasing something new. I'm working on stuff at the minute. I don't know what directions it's going in yet. I don't know how it's going to be.
Okay.
So it could be closer to the end of the year before I release my next one, I'd say, after Soft Sea. Well, I have Princess of Chaos as well. I don't know. There's a few
Yeah.
there's a few ideas up my sleeve, but yeah, there will definitely be more music coming. I just don't know what form it will take yet.
All right. Well, watch this space, I suppose. Thanks very much, Siobhan. We're almost out of time, but just to finish us off, if people want to hear more, where should they look? Who should they follow? That kind of thing.
Sorry, you cut out again.
I was just saying that we're almost out of time, so if people want to hear more, where should they look?
Oh, right, yeah. Great White Lies. We're on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. We have our own website, greatwhiteliesmusic.com, and you can buy our stuff on Bandcamp, or you can listen to it on all the places that you listen to. If you want to buy stuff, buy it on Friday, because I get 100% of the 100% of the rewards, because Bandcamp are doing a really good deal, yeah, on Fridays.
Okay, well, brilliant. Thanks a million, Siobhan, and thanks for coming on when you were suffering with the vertigo, as you mentioned.
No worries. It's good distraction. Thanks, Dylan.
Yeah, well, thanks for making some time for us today. Thanks very much.
Okay, cheers.
Cheers.
See ya.
And so that was my interview with Siobhan of Great White Lies. I'd like to thank Siobhan very much for joining me today, and I'd like to thank you very much for watching this video. So please do stay tuned next week for another episode of the All Ireland podcast. Thank you very much, and take care.